Hey YouTube, it's Lay Rocket. What's happening? How you doing? As you can see, we took the show on the road as promised, and we are in Louisville, Kentucky, the greatest city in the world, according to Muhammad Ali. Just wanted to say hey to everybody and remember and to tell you what the deal is with me being up here. It's a college football Saturday. We're up here for just hanging out and visiting some friends and everything. But there's a huge game, I think, going on just up the street at the Papa John's Stadium, or I think is what it's called, and that would be Louisville versus the University of Miami, the 17th ranked. I think it's the 17th ranked University of Miami. I do think Louisville has a very strong chance to win this game because I did see some of the things that Florida was doing in previous games, particularly against, I think it was the Florida State game, if I remember correctly, that I did watch. And anyway, I just bottom line, I'm just picking Louisville in this game because I'm not a big fan of University of Miami, although they have turned out some really great football players in their program. I just also wanted to talk about just life in general and what was going on, and just say thank you to everyone who has helped me out with the finding those two songs that I was looking for. Still kind of working out the kinks on those two things, but we're getting there. Other than that, just wanted to say hey and tell you about some other football games that I will be watching on this college football Saturday. It's the big one. It's Notre Dame versus Michigan. I think the game. Let me see where that game is located. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Sorry about this. I normally should be better prepared for this, but you know, you're getting it off the cuff, and so we'll go with that. That would be a commercial that's playing on my computer. Let's look. It is right now. I'm watching actually the Michigan State versus Pittsburgh game. I haven't looked at the score lately, but where is that game? The big game. There it is. Another big game that's going on right now. That's gonna go on about 3:30 Eastern today is LSU versus Auburn. That game is on CBS. Michigan at Notre Dame. The game is in South Bend. Go Michigan, go Wolverines. Another big game that I'm looking at today, or looking off of the schedule, would be the game of Arkansas Vanderbilt. That should be a decent game in the SEC. Another game is going on that ooh, that's an interesting game too. Brigham Young versus Boston College. I forgot about that game. Go BC. Like I said, the LSU versus Auburn game, the Louisville game. Louisville's actually ranked number 12 in the nation. Didn't forget about that. And Oklahoma versus Oregon. I'm not sure who I'd go for in that game. Ohio at Rutgers. But that's not Ohio State. That's Ohio. Let me see. Texas Tech versus TCU. Go Texas Tech. Texas versus Rice. That should be no contest. Mississippi versus Kentucky in the SEC. Go Mississippi. Sorry, Big Blue, can't root for you. That's a personal thing. Nothing against the team. It's just a personal thing between me and someone else who's a Kentucky fan. You know who you are. But you're not on YouTube, so whatever. Tulane versus Mississippi State. Go Mississippi State. I like Mississippi State because Sylvester, the head coach, is from Alabama and played at Alabama. Southern Miss versus North Carolina State. I like Southern Miss. Alabama versus Louisiana Monroe. That should be a cake. Should hopefully be a cakewalk. There is no cakewalks really in football, typically, or that's what they try to tell us, I guess. But that should be a pretty easy game since it's a non-conference game. It's kind of interesting the way they did the schedule, because some of the conference games that are going on really early, and then some of them are being really split up by non-conference games. It's kind of different. I personally am a bigger fan of where they have the SEC games or the conference games towards the end of the year, because that gets more people involved in the television. Let's see. I saw another game on here that I was going to look at that I wanted to talk about. Oh, crud. Oh, no, that's not it. Fresno State at Washington. Go Fresno State. Florida State versus Clemson. Go Florida State. Seminoles, baby. Oh yes, there's two more games that I have to talk about on this. One is Florida versus Tennessee. With me being an Alabama fan, you can guess where I'm going. And that is go Florida. Not a huge fan of the Tennessee because of the whole controversy that went on a couple years ago. Thanks a lot, Mr. Philip Fulmer, or should I say, Fat Phil. Anyway, probably the big game that's going to go on tonight is the Nebraska-USC game. Nebraska out of the Big 12, of course, and I have seen them in person. Haven't seen them this year, but except on the television, and they've looked somewhat impressive. But it should be a battle of the defenses, I'm thinking, as most games typically are. But I do tend to see USC coming out on top on this one. And then out west, there's some other games. Army versus Texas A&M. That, as much as I do root for Army because it's the team that I always root for in the Army-Navy game, I do think that should be an easy game for Texas A&M. And UNLV versus Hawaii. That should be an interesting game. Of course, I did see Hawaii play firsthand, and again, Hawaii has some gunslingers, so I have not seen UNLV, so that'd be an interesting game to know how it turns out on that. And let's see if we got anything else. That's all the games on the Division 1A football. Okay. Since this is going to be, I'm actually turning this into the Gridiron. It wasn't officially going to be the Gridiron, but you know what? It's turning out that way, so we'll go with it. Schedules for this. Now we're going into the NFL for the schedule of this week. This is week number 2. Carolina at Minnesota. If Steve Smith plays for Carolina, I like Carolina in this game. If not, it could go the other way, but the game is being played at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so I'm still going with Carolina, because I'm being interested to see how Carolina responds. Though I will say they have got to give Jake Delhomme more time than what they did last week. Buffalo at Miami. I'm going with Miami on this one. I think Buffalo is a team that's still trying to search for itself, but it should be an interesting game to see how that goes as well. The Giants at Philadelphia. Donovan McNabb had a great game, and Eli Manning's coming off his the loss in the Manning Bowl, as it's referred to as. Where am I gonna go with this? As much as I'm not a big fan of them, I'd be interesting to. I'd love to see the Giants win the game, but I'm interested to see how if Donovan McNabb is going to play as well as he did last week. So we'll go a 50-50, but I'll say probably Philadelphia in this one. New Orleans at Green Bay. If this game was being played farther in the year, it would favor Green Bay more, but Green Bay is really struggling and they look kind of sloppy. So I'm going with New Orleans and Reggie Bush. And Indianapolis or Houston at Indianapolis. Let's go with Indiana, because I think the Colts have a lot to prove this year that they can. I could see them coming down to the AFC title game. Detroit at Chicago, even though I think it was Roy Williams, I believe it was, or one of the guys for Detroit guaranteed a victory over Chicago even after they only scored field goals against Seattle the week before. But I'm going to go in this one with the Chicago Bears because of their defense, and it should be interesting to see how they do it. I do believe this is their home opener. Don't quote me on that, but it's my gut feeling because I don't think they were at home last week. Cleveland at Cincinnati, the Battle of Ohio. Cincinnati should be pretty good on this one because they did play very well against Kansas City, so we'll go with that. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. This being, of course, the Georgia Dome, so that does favor Michael Vick. By the way, very impressive win against Atlanta last week with Michael Vick, and he did throw the ball a lot more than what I expected. So I'll go with Atlanta on this one. Baltimore at Oakland. As much as I am a Raiders fan, I do think Oakland has got some serious issues, and they didn't show me much. The fact that the guy from Ohio on the offensive line for Oakland was getting beat by San Diego as bad as he was just that he was just the guy. The defensive line, excuse me, for Oakland or for Baltimore plays extremely well and is fast, which Baltimore is known for their defense. I do pick Baltimore in this game. Seattle at Arizona. Of course, Seattle got Deion Branch as a wide receiver now, and a lot of people are picking Seattle to be in the thick of things in the NFC. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Arizona is going to try to prove something this week. It's a divisional game, I do believe, and I'm going to go with Arizona because I do think they have got a very good wide receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, the old Pitt University wide receiver, and I like the running back in Edward and James that they went out and got. So they're a team that's coming around. Again, it could be another battle of defenses. St. Louis at San Francisco. I'm gonna go with St. Louis on this one, even though since I don't know, they didn't really show that much last week, but I don't know much about San Francisco, so I'm gonna go with my gut on that one. And Tennessee at San Diego. San Diego should win this game because I think San Diego is another team that's got some things to prove. New England at the Jets. Not a big New England fan, so I'm gonna go with the Jets. And Chad Pennington did play extremely well the week before, in the first week, and we'll leave it at that. Kansas City at Denver. With Trent Green being out, it's going to be very interesting to see how the backups do. I know, for those of you that do follow Kansas City, the former Alabama quarterback from last year, the senior that graduated, Brody Croyle, is, I think, the third-string quarterback, but I'm not sure whether he'll get some playing time because they've got this second-string guy, but I don't know his name offhand. But I'm going with Denver on this one. Washington and Dallas. I think that Washington should win this game because I'm not really impressed with Drew Bledsoe as a quarterback in Dallas. I'm not convinced that he's the answer there. It's interesting. Dallas is a team that has struggled for its identity since the days that Jerry Jones, or not Jerry Jones, but the days of the Troy Aikman era, I guess, in the quarterback position. Because Jerry Jones is their owner. I'm sorry. This is going to be really bad. But I'm picking Washington in that game. Pittsburgh at Jacksonville. And for that, I will pick Pitt, because I think Pitt will play very well in this game. Though I would like to see how be able to look more into what Jacksonville's doing with their team this year. So there are some games to watch. I will be watching all these games, and I will be watching the games that I mentioned, or trying to keep up with them as much as possible. And thanks for watching. Remember the two things about me: it's a college football Saturday here in Louisville, and when even down here in Louisville, I do keep on rocking. And two, when I got something to say, whether it's in Louisville, Alabama, or wherever else I'll show up, I say it on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and have a great Saturday afternoon and weekend. Rock on!